A very good evening, welcome to FA Cup Live as we conclude the 5th round of this season's competition with an all Premier League tie and a London derby as well, as relegation threatened West Ham in the Premier League take on a Brentford side who've had a pretty good season elsewhere, and we'll be hoping that they will be facing a possible Leeds United side in the quarter-finals. Of course, the draw was done before tonight's game, and the competition knows its path, at least to the teams that could face each other before the Wembley rounds. Let's have a look at the draw then. So it's Southampton taking on Arsenal in the quarter-finals. Chelsea will have the home draw of Port Vale of League One in their game. A huge tie at the Etihad. Manchester City taking on Liverpool. That is the big tie of the quarter-finals. And the winner of tonight's game, West Ham or Brentford, will face Leeds United at home in the quarter-finals. It looked like the big teams were going to avoid each other in terms of the four that we had our eye on, Arsenal, Chelsea, City and Liverpool. But City and Liverpool will face each other, and that will be surely tie of the round come the quarter-finals. But for all of these teams, Wembley is on the horizon. And for the two teams tonight, they know that if they win this game, they've got a home tie in the next round to possibly see themselves to Wembley in the semi-finals. So a lot on the line in East London tonight. A West Ham side who, as I said, have had a pretty horrible season when it comes to league form. Relegation threatened, but recently have shown up a little bit more of a fight than they have done for the vast majority of the season. And the team they faced tonight, a Brentford team who were probably everybody's favourites to be amongst the relegation teams at the start of the season, that hasn't panned out. And Keith Andrews doing a wonderful job with his Brentford side. Let's have a look at the two teams for tonight's game, starting with West Ham. We make 7 changes from the midweek result, shall I say. Alphonse Areola is in goal. Back four of Walker-Peters, Mavropanos, Disasi and Ollie Scarles at left back. In midfield, Thomas Souček alongside Matej Fernandes and Kante alongside them. Mohamedou Kante in midfield. Jared Bowen, the captain, is on the right. Adama Traore on the left. And Pablo returns up front. On the bench, Herrick, Myers, Kilman, Wan-Bissaka, Magassa, Potts, Somerville, Tati Castellanos and Callum Wilson. Well, for Brentford, as I said, maybe, who knows? They could be an outside shout to win this competition this season after they've already had a great campaign so far. Caoimhan Kelleher starts in goal, a back four of Lewis Potter, Collins, Ayer and Coyote, a very strong defence from Keith Andrews. Jordan Henderson and Yarmoliuk are in midfield. Mikkel Damsgaard in the 10. Kevin Schade on the left. Dango Ouattara on the right. And lead striker Igor Thiago is up front. On the bench, Valdimarsson, Vandenberg, Stevenson, Pinnock, Jensen, Shield, Bent, Donovan and Kaye Furo. So two Premier League sides with very contrasting league seasons meet in the round 5 of the FA Cup and know that a home tie in the quarter-finals against Leeds awaits the winner. But who will come out on top? It's West Ham against Brentford to conclude round 5 of the FA Cup, and kick-off at the London Stadium is next. A very good evening. Welcome to FA Cup Live tonight, and a quick recap before we start tonight's games on two feature results of the weekend in the FA Cup 5th round. Port Vale of League One, bottom of League One, defeating Sunderland in the of the Premier League yesterday, and of course another upset of sorts, Southampton beating Fulham with that late penalty. The only two EFL sides left in the competition, and they know they have big Premier League sides to come in the next round. Arsenal at home for Southampton and Chelsea away for Port Vale. In round well, in the quarterfinals. We forget about the numbered rounds after this one. And as we get ready to get underway here in East London, West Ham in their home strip, as we would expect. Claret and blue shirts, white shorts, white socks, and Brentford in their third kit tonight of that kind of faded blue, pale blue, all the way throughout, with that kind of purple trimmings. As we get underway, West Ham kicking from left to right, Brentford from right to left, and as I said, an old Premier League tie, but two sides aren't really comparable with their seasons as of yet. A shot at in behind and loops it well over the crossbar with a half chance there for Brentford in behind. You see it here, Shada just breaks off the back of Walker-Peters. He's beaten for pace and Shada takes the touch and then struck it on the bounce with his left foot. It was always curling over the crossbar, but an early opportunity right away there for Kevin Shada. Of course, West Ham United will feel a bit more positive about their hopes tonight after that win away at Fulham in midweek. Well, that's nice from Jared Bowen. Sees his way past Lewis Potter. Bowen into the box, and the shots took a deflection on the way through. That will be a West Ham corner. Again, wingers defeating their fullbacks so far, and this time it was Jared Bowen with a beautiful touch. Keane Lewis Potter kind of dived in on it, lost the measure of the ball, and as he broke away, Jared Bowen, well marshalled by Keane Lewis Potter, but corner will be to West Ham right from the off. Both sides are not looking to wait around, and Ollie Scards will take this West Ham corner. Left-footed delivery, it's looped to the back post, headed up and away there by Damsgaard. Recycle back to Matej Fernandez. Back to Scards, who took the corner, is going to take a shot, but that one's directed well off target by Ollie Scards with the left foot. Recycled it well, West Ham, but ultimately the shot was well off target. The setup was quite good, but ultimately the shot wasn't. Andy says, nice game, hard to pick a winner until the game starts. West Ham show up once a month and can beat anyone. Well, that's true. As I said, the West Ham team that went to Fulham and won, and a big result for West Ham, a huge result. Crescencio Somerville with the key all-important goal that keeps West Ham very much in the fight for safety. They're level on points with Nottingham Forest and only behind Forest on goal difference, so we're right on the edge of being out of that relegation zone, West Ham. And of course Spurs are within clutching distance as well, so the Hammers might not want to just get themselves just clear, maybe push themselves well clear. Nicely won here by Pablo, and he's got Jared Bowen down the right hand side. Bowen trying to return the favour, but the through ball there was a few yards ahead of Pablo, and nicely mopped up by Caoimhan Kelleher. And that win away at Fulham for West Ham was their first away league win since the start of February. They went 3 league games without victory, albeit though they drew 2 of those games, and they were home games against United and Bournemouth, 1-1 and 0-0. The only outlier in their recent results in terms of poor form was that 5-2 defeat away at Liverpool at Anfield. It's their only defeat in their last 6 games in all competitions, and a very good run of form for West Ham. 3 wins, 2 draws and just 1 defeat from their last 6. Means they have shown more positive form with Nuno recently, but still work to do if they want to secure Premier League football next season for them. When it comes to the FA Cup, you know, we talk about teams that can have difficult seasons and, you know, really struggle in their league form. Find the cup as a bit of a reprieve, a bit of a let-off from all the stress and seemingly pain from their league form. West Ham might want to use this as a bit of a stress reliever in a sense tonight. Here's Jared Bowen. Walker-Peters on the overlap. Cuts it back to Thomas Souček. Well, since Brentford's first foray in the first minute, it's been West Ham that have been on the ball since, and Adama Traore got all muddled up there as Coyote wins it back. Breaking down the right here, but Adama Traore tracking back. Uses his speed to good effect there. Helps it back to his goalkeeper. Initially lost the 1v1 there, Adama Traore. On it back. Kyle Walker-Peters a little bit easily beaten off the ball there. Here comes Mikkel Damsgaard. He's going to lay it off to the edge of the area. And the shot there from Jordan Henderson is over the crossbar. Former Liverpool player having a good opportunity there from the edge of the area. Directed wide and a little high from the Brentford number 6. Yeah, he tried to find the top corner there, and he was only a yard or so over the top. It wasn't too far away, but missed opportunity there for Jordan Henderson. And of course, knows his way around this competition. That's another aspect of it for Brentford, the fact that, you know, have players who have experience in this competition. Jordan Henderson, of course, who won the FA Cup with Liverpool back in 2022. And they beat Chelsea in the final at Wembley. Of course, and actually, you could go back over a decade earlier, when Liverpool won the EFL Cup, and he was involved in that game back in 2012. So, history of winning cups. There's a very experienced Jordan Henderson. Who knows? As I said, the winner of this could possibly have a very nice run to the final. Albeit Leeds will be a tough test come the quarterfinals. Whoever wins this game tonight, and that will be another good battle for the quarterfinals. But one of those two teams would then get to the semi-final, and it means that kind of mid-table teams in the Premier League are at least guaranteed one of them to get to the semi-final, which is a bit of a refresh. Of course, we saw Crystal Palace kind of break away from that mid-table teams last season and kind of shocked their way to an FA Cup victory, so why couldn't anyone else do it? And of course, you got to say, Arsenal, Chelsea, City or Liverpool will of course still be the four most likely teams to not only reach the final at Wembley, but possibly win it as well. You never know. Kante winning his header there. Adama Traore battling and winning the throw-in off Coyote, who a little bit bemused by that. And that's going to be a throw to the hosts. Throw down the line. Souček trying to use his head, which he's so reliable at doing. And Mohamedou Kante lays it out wide to Walker-Peters. Nice little 1-2 there between Kante and Fernandez, and Walker-Peters back the way to Konstantinos Mavropanos. Another example of the fact that, you know, West Ham have made 7 changes tonight, but at the same time they still have a pretty strong team in effect in this game that can certainly cause Brentford problems. Of course, Jared Bowen is the key threat. Of course, Thomas Souček as well. And you bring in the defenders who are still quite mostly involved, and then who knows? Adama Traore's a kind of a wild card figure. You never know what you're really going to get from Adama Traore. Clearance there, flicked on by Shada, finding Igor Thiago for the first time tonight, but well muscled off the ball there by Axel Disasi, and the referee Andy Madley waves it away for any sort of possibility of a free kick there for Igor Thiago. But just good strong defending by Axel Disasi, and Igor Thiago goes down a little easily. Of course, Igor Thiago's had a pretty good season in the league. 18 Premier League goals this season. Only Erling Haaland has scored more, which is, if you had to say, you know, which player across all of the strikers in the Premier League would be second to Erling Haaland in the Golden Boot race? No disrespect to Igor Thiago or Brentford as a whole, but I don't think he will be top of many people's lists at the start of the season. He's a bit hit or miss at times. He's only scored 2 goals in his last 8 league games. Here come Brentford on the move. Shada got the shot right at Areola, and Coyote was there too. See it again. Little flick reversed into the path of Shada, and then Coyote with the effort. Areola with the save, and then Shada trying to follow up. But nice play there from Brentford. Really good play by Kevin Shada between the lines to really create the opportunity. But what I was going to say about Igor Thiago, albeit he has only scored twice in his last 8, both of those goals have come away from home in Brentford victories. So if he does find the score sheet tonight, history reads that usually Brentford come away with the result. Of course, the most recent one was that crazy win away at Burnley a few weeks ago, where they won 4-3. Mavropanos. Walker-Peters. Poked through, finding the backtracking Pablo. He gives it wide to Bowen, who has to drop back to Mavropanos. A little bit of a foray forward here for Axel Disasi, who got a little bit jangly, shall we say, and he kept the hold of the ball. Here's Matej Fernandes now. He's a little bit more comfortable with the ball at his feet and running with it. Played out wide to Scarles. Back to Fernandes. Kante. West Ham happy to have the possession, and Brentford at the minute happy to allow them to have the possession. Here's Walker-Peters. Down the line as Souček comes wide. He's tracked all the way by Yarmolyuk. And then Shada on the cover. Forces it out for a throw, which West Ham want to take quickly. Bowen. Clip one into the box. Low and cleared away by Henderson. And now Mikkel Damsgaard wants to break. Nobody really around him in Brentford colours. Has to play it back to Christopher Ayer. Well, Brentford have won each of their last 2 games against West Ham, which both have come at the London Stadium, and they have failed to concede in both games. They've kept a clean sheet in both. In the early fixture between the sides this season, Igor Thiago and Matthijs Jensen on the score sheet for the 2-0 victory. And late last season, Brentford won 1-0 through Kevin Shada with a 4th minute goal. Was enough to see the way past West Ham. And Brentford on the move again here. Damsgaard with space, trying to return the ball to Coyote, but Scarles got back in to cover the space. He clears it away towards Pablo, who felt it was fouled, but referee waves it away. And Brentford reclaim possession. Lewis Potter. Breaking down the left. He's got Bowen for company, but he chops back, lays it into the area. Disasi clears not too far, as that's nicely won by Pablo. Now Walker-Peters chasing the ball everywhere they can there, Brentford, and making sure it's going only out for a throw. Now West Ham's last victory against Brentford actually came over 2 years ago now, in February 2024, when they won 4-2 here. Cracking game that was. 2-0 up inside 7 minutes, West Ham. It was 2-1 at the break before they added another 2 in the second half before another late consolation from Brentford. 4-2 victory for the Hammers. It was their last win. That was 3 games ago against Brentford. And that is actually their only Premier League victory against Brentford in a total can calculate correctly. 9 meetings is their only victory. Although they did have beaten them in the FA Cup. They beat them in the 3rd round of the FA Cup at the G-Tech? Was it? Yeah, it was. Of course it was the G-Tech. At the G-Tech Stadium, side Ben Rama, set up by Declan Rice, won the game for West Ham all the way back in January of 2023. Only 2 wins against Brentford since they were promoted to the Premier League. 1 in the league and 1 in the FA Cup. That was a lovely little flick. Here's Coyote lifting it to the back post and well headed away by Mavropanos, but Lewis Potter's there to pick up the pieces. Brentford really probing at West Ham here. Yarmoliuk. Nicely done by Collins. Finds Lewis Potter, who's going to whip it deep, and that one's going to spin behind for a goal kick. But building a little bit of momentum there, Brentford. Long clearance by Alphonse Areola. Couldn't make it stick though there, West Ham. Brought down by Kevin Shada. Nice play through to Mikkel Damsgaard. He's back to Coyote. They're just comfortable with building the ball now, Brentford, having their little spell of possession. Here's Henderson, who we've seen already this season, a real threat from deep. They try and feed those long balls in behind. That's a lovely little 1-2 between Dango with Tara, and I think that was Coyote. In the end, it goes out for a throw. Well, Brentford have won 7 of the last 10 games against West Ham in all competitions since becoming a Premier League side in 2021. Drawn 1 and lost 2. They haven't beaten a side more often during this period. So Brentford, a bogey team for West Ham in the last few years. And Brentford, their best and most favourable opponent. But here's Adama Traore, who breaks away from Coyote and is bursting away. Adama Traore, he's going to shoot! And the shot left a lot to be desired, dragged well wide, but has the pace, has the acceleration, and has the power to speed away. When he got away from Coyote here, there was no one catching him. And as he struck, just a little off balance and carried it well wide of that left post. But a bit more promise for West Ham there, though. So you kind of need to get your wingers in the game, have some pace and threat in transition that can really reaffirm a bit of momentum that's kind of fallen away from West Ham. It's a lovely turn by Mohamedou Kante. He breaks away from his man and a loose ball drops to find Traore. Back to Kante, who left the shot. Now trying to find Souček, who took one too many passes. I mean, no one wanted to shoot there for West Ham. I think Kante should have had the shot, or even Souček when he got it. Now the shot. Took a deflection there off Pablo's shot. Took a deflection. That'll be a corner. Better from West Ham, though. But again, we see this again. Nicely won by Walker-Peters. As that was the Pablo shot. But earlier on, Kante with a little turn away from his man in midfield. Carried it forward, dummied the shot in the end, and he didn't have a go. Played it wide to Souček, who then tried to work it back into the middle, but one too many passes for West Ham. Broke that attack down, but they've got a corner. Second corner of the game. Brentford still yet to have a corner. So more threat for the Hammers. Can they use it? Scar's delivery, head away at the near post. Brought down by Matej Fernandes, who will whip it in again. It's deep, it's a curling effort, and it's bundled in by Jared Bowen. Was there to knock home the flick on. And West Ham United, through their captain, take the lead. Momentum swings in the way of the Hammers, who usually are quite poor at defending corners and not really great at scoring from them. But on that occasion, they kept that threat alive from the set piece. And Matej Fernandes' delivery, the flick on at the back post, and Jared Bowen to force it past Caoimhan Kelleher. No one offside there, and Bowen's definitely not offside from the flick on by Pablo. It's definitely a goal, and West Ham United have first blood in this old Premier League tie. Beautiful delivery by Matheus Fernandes, rising high, and the flick on finds Jarrod Bowen. And if you were Brentford, you'd have to say poor defending, because who doesn't track Jarrod Bowen? He is, I mean, Agent Zero when it comes to threats for West Ham. But the captain is the one who strikes. Poacher. Number 20 gives West Ham the lead. Jarrod Bowen, as I said, who's really embodied a captain at West Ham. It's actually his first goal outside the Premier League this season. All 8 of his previous goals for West Ham this campaign have come in the Premier League. Only all but one of his goal contributions, which is a total of 13 across the season, all but one of them have come in the Premier League this season. So it's the league that's been his competition, but his first goal in the FA Cup for them this season. And he's only actually been able to get more than one FA Cup goal for West Ham in one season, and that was the 21-22 season when he got 2 goals. They're on the way again here, West Ham. It's Walker-Peters down the right-hand side. Can he whip it early? He could, but it's cleared away by Collins. Back to Walker-Peters. Now Fernandes, who feeds it in behind for Jarrod Bowen on the run. Gets past his man, but the cutback is cut out by Jordan Henderson and cleared away. But Brentford under the cosh a little bit here. Bowen comes back at it again, and Pablo trying to go for the 1-2. Well, marshalled in the end by the Brentford defence, but they're enjoying themselves out there now at West Ham. And I have to say, it was Souček with the head, helped along the way by Christopher Ajer, that finds its way back to Jarrod Bowen, but nonetheless, the point still stands. There's one player in West Ham colours you mark and you make sure it doesn't have a threat, it's Jarrod Bowen. And Brentford just didn't do well enough at eradicating that second phase of that set piece. And what is Brentford's response? Because I have to say, up until that little 2-minute spell that West Ham had, it was Brentford that were in the ascendancy. It was Brentford that were the team that were trying to push for a goal themselves. But it was all come really, I think, definitely back to Adama Traore's breakaway run from Michael Coyote that has kind of reaffirmed a little bit of belief in West Ham in their attack and play, and it just got them going. And that's the difference, you know. Adama Traore, a lot of people say terrible output and kind of all power no finish really, but albeit inadvertently, kind of broke away, got that attacking move that swung the momentum back in West Ham's favour, and it's an impact that you can't really calculate, but it certainly kicked off that good spell for West Ham that led to their opening goal. Lewis Potter, throw down the left side, well shielded by Walker-Peters, away from Kevin Shada. That's another throw in, going to be going the way of Brentford. The Brentford side, who've been incredible on the road since their League Cup defeat away at Manchester City back in late December. They've lost just once on the road in all competitions, the last 9 away games, and have won 7 of those 9 away games. Long throw by Coyote, flicked on by Ayer, but headed away by Traore, and then the follow-up there from Yarmoliuk is pretty lacklustre. Their only defeat, Brentford, on the road in their last 9 was away at Chelsea, where they lost 2-0. And the only other points they've dropped on the road was their most recent away game 6 days ago away at Bournemouth, where they drew 0-0. They've won 7 of their last 9 away games, including their last 2 FA Cup games away at Sheffield Wednesday and Macclesfield. But their threat of that form coming to an end early doors here. Bowen, Fernandez, back to Souček. 25.5 minutes gone, and West Ham lead by a 0 through Jared Bowen. Who else? So far, possession's been 50-50. West Ham have edged the shot 6-4. Both sides have had 1 shot on target. Crucially, West Ham's went in, Brentford's didn't. Adama Traore, nice control, finds Bowen, who plays a lovely ball through to Pablo if he can break away from Coyote. Ultimately, though, fouling Coyote and trying to get on the inside of him, and that's going to be a Brentford free kick. Yeah, a bit of frustration there for Pablo. Beautiful play. See it here, Adama Traore, you think he's going to break down the right, but he comes back in field. Bowen drops a little deeper, kind of plays a wonderful reverse ball in behind for Pablo, who just couldn't get away from Coyote on the cover and ultimately give away the free kick. But some really nice crisp football from West Ham at times so far. And Brentford struggling to deal with that. That's a nice ball by Henderson though. Finds Igor Thiago. Gets the better of Disasi now. Ouattara. Back to Henderson again. Yarmoliuk. Ouattara. Trying to tick on a man in Ollie Scarles, and got a good block there, the West Ham fullback, out for the throw. Ollie Scarles still just 20 years old. Strong bit of defending there, but here comes a... Oh, Coyote's gone short. That's a nice turn. Ouattara's cross, flicked on, the header has gone in. Nathan Collins finds the Brentford leveller, and it is the 2 captains that are the 2 on the score sheet so far. They are checking something here, VAR. Andy Madley has kind of put his finger to his earpiece quite a few times since the goal was scored. West Ham are claiming, I think, handball. We're not too sure, but let's see it again. So the throw-in taken short. Lovely little chink, and as it comes across, Collins, does he use his arm? No. There's no handball. Does Igor Thiago actually have a little bit of a flick here? Oh, it comes off his chest, Igor Thiago. But is he in an offside position? It's definitely not handball. It comes off the chest of Igor Thiago. So if that's what they're looking at, this should stand. But is there an offside that they might also need to have a look at? West Ham were saying handball, but the look to me is it skims off the chest of Igor Thiago. His arms are kind of tucked in, down by his side. Albeit that's completely pointless, but it looks like it comes off his chest. From what I can see, it looks like the chest, but again, you can't definitively say. It's all close proximity. Great header by Collins, by the way, but Igor Thiago definitely gets something to it. Accidental or not, it looks like it comes off his chest to me. But the goal is going to stand, because I don't think they can definitively say whether it come off his arm or not. So handball isn't really visible, and VAR can't overturn the on-field decision because there's no clear evidence to say that there was a handball. West Ham 1, Brentford 1. Igor Thiago plays a massive part in finding the leveller. And he's definitely onside, there's no question about that. to me, if it does come off his arm, it's very, very well kind of hidden, because to me it looks like it just skims off his chest. But the key deflection takes it into the back of the net, and he's going to be credited with the goal. But West Ham want to get back in front again. Adama Traore goes down, wanting a penalty. Andy Madley waves his finger, says no. It's chaos of a game all of a sudden. Now Brentford are on the way, but well cut out by the backtracking Scarls. And funnily enough, Nathan Collins gets an assist rather than a goal because of the deflection. And Igor Thiago gets the goal for Brentford. So 1-1. Here is Damsgaard. Yarmolyuk. Henderson's cross. Headed away. Looked on by Damsgaard. Brought down by Coyote. Ouattara. And a working angle for the cross. Lifts it into the box, but too deep and no one there for Brentford. Well, they are checking here VAR for a possible penalty. Adama Traore up the other end. And I think they might have a case here, West Ham. We'll see it again. It looked like Adama Traore did go down under a pretty clumsy challenge by, I think it's Coyote. Checking for possible offsides and all that beforehand. So I think on-field review has been called for Andy Madley. So we see it again. Yeah, Coyote. He does catch Adama Traore. Let's see it again. I mean, we're getting 3 frames per second there. Yeah, I mean, Coyote goes in for the ball. He catches Adama Traore, gets none of the ball. I mean, it's a stonewall penalty, surely. Referee doesn't see it, waves it away, but VAR clearly feel that the wrong decision was achieved there. And Andy Madley will have a look. And I would suspect this will be a change of decision. Let's hear what Andy Madley has to say after review. A clear trip by the Brentford number 33, and the final decision is penalty. So West Ham, after being pegged back mere minutes ago by Igor Thiago, might be gifted a chance to go back in front again by Michael Coyote's poor challenge on Adama Traore. I mean, Traore chases for the ball, he gets to the ball, Coyote makes the challenge, doesn't get any of the ball, takes out the man. I mean, it's as stonewall a penalty as you'll ever see. And Adama Traore, another key involvement in this game for West Ham. The referee explaining the decision to the man who's been penalised, Michael Coyote. What a cracking first half here at the London Stadium. Usually you see teams that are well matched kind of see each other off and play at a pretty cagey affair, but this one's been far from that. And now Jared Bowen, the West Ham captain, has the chance to give West Ham the lead once more. Scored the first, and he scored the second. Kelleher, he's got a good penalty save on him. Joe Bowen tucks that in the bottom left corner. Kelleher had no chance there, dived the wrong way, and Jared Bowen, his second, has given West Ham the lead once again. West Ham 2, Brentford 1, and Keith Andrews, who was well relieved when his side levelled the game, watches on as his side gift West Ham another opportunity. Well taken by Bowen, the man for the big occasion in the big moment, and he tucks it home so beautifully, so coolly. Nuno couldn't bear to watch, but I have to say there are fewer players than Jared Bowen to have such confidence in such a position. West Ham 2, Brentford 1. What a cup tie so far. From Brentford's point of view, I mean, 2 goals they've conceded and arguably 2 avoidable situations. The penalty definitely an avoidable situation in the opener. He's not doing well enough from set pieces. Individual errors at the moment. Mohamedou Kante does well to win a corner there off Jordan, or Christopher Ayer actually. And West Ham have got their tails up again. And this is a key final 10 minutes of this first half for both teams. Can West Ham really take it all to Brentford and command this match, or can Brentford keep themselves in the mix? The third corner of the game, West Ham. First from the left, right footed delivery, cleared away at the front post. Oh, Walker-Peters with a poor touch. He will have the chase on his man there, but he made that one a little more awkward than he needed to. And Areola, the rocket of a foot to clear it away. It is Brentford who retrieve. Oh, well won back by by Jared Bowen. Given away by Yarmoliuk. And now Traore. Only man there forward in claret for the moment. Wide in the right. Got options in the middle if he can find someone. He's got two in his way. And Adama Traore lays it back to Walker-Peters. They seem a little sharper, West Ham, than Brentford. A couple of the occasions they just had the ball stolen from them in the middle, and in avoidable situations. Here's Mohamedou Kanté. Right to Scarles on the left. Lovely touch to take it inside first time. And trying to roll it through for Pablo. Little heavy on the pass, but again, good play by West Ham. Nice idea. Flowing at the moment. Oh, the Hammers. Well, this is just the third time that West Ham and Brentford have been drawn against each other in the FA Cup. Of course, they said the most recent one, West Ham won 1-0 in the third round back in 22-23. The only other meeting in the FA Cup was in the fourth round replay back in 1926-27. It's almost 100 years ago. And they progressed from that fourth round replay, did Brentford. All those years ago. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter breaking forward for Brentford, who want to respond again here. They want a penalty of their own as Lewis-Potter was clipped at, but it will be a corner. Mohamedou Kanté with the challenge. See it again here. Good drive from Lewis-Potter. Skips inside Mavropanos, and then Mohamedou Kanté gets contact to the ball. It's definitely a corner. No doubt about it. Now Jordan Henderson will ready to take this corner for Brentford. 8 minutes of the first half to go. West Ham 2, Brentford 1. Climatic game so far. A lot of pushing and shoving in the 6-yard box. Areola's right in the middle of a load of players shuffling against each other. Henderson's delivery deep is wonderfully, easily seen in by Alphonse Areola. And that first Brentford corner of the game comes to nothing. So far, pretty close game in terms of every area of the stats, but you've got to say West Ham have been the better team so far. Played the better football, looked the sharper, looked the more confident. Looked more up for it at the minute, which is an interesting kind of factor to this game. Fernandez, Adama Traore hugging the touchline. Up against Coyote. Always creates some separation there, Adama Traore, but he loose with his pass back to Kanté, and he gives away a foul. Henderson. Damsgaard. Just need to get a bit of rhythm, Brentford. And midfield has really suffered. That's a lovely ball by Damsgaard. Ouattara with a cut inside. Shadow was beaten to it. He goes down. But Andy Madley says, clean challenge. I think I agree with that. Looks like a clean, fair challenge on me. Kevin Shadow's still down, though. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter. They're checking at VAR. Lewis-Potter takes on Walker-Peters. Wins the corner. Well, let's see this again. So lovely from Dango Ouattara. Breaks inside Scarles. Cuts it back, and Shada going for the ball. Oh, to be fair, he does get to the ball, and Fernandez does stand on his foot, but oh, I think that they could very easily overturn that. but they have said no foul. The VAR checked it and cleared it. Well, for me, I disagree. I mean, I don't think the defender, Matej Fernandes, made any contact with the ball there. I think he stands on the foot of Kevin Shada after he gets the ball away. Brentford can feel a little bit hard done by there. I think that should have been a penalty. Corner it is, though. Jordan Henderson to take the next Brentford corner. The last one didn't quite go anywhere near threatening for Brentford. Easily recovered by the West Ham goalkeeper. So Andy Madley's having none of the pushing and shoving in the box. I mean, honestly, there's about 15 players all within 2 yards of each other. It's crazy. Corner taken short. Nice little 1-2. Henderson working the angle and headed away confidently by Mavropanos. Back down by Shada. Collins slips and gives it away. One back though by Dango Watari's wrestling with the Adama Traore. And Traore does fantastically well there to win a goal kick for his team. And look at the celebration there between Matej Fernandes and Adama Traore. Great backtracking there from Traore. That is also something you want in a winger as well. I mean, Adama Traore's got all the pace and power to break forward, but a covering winger, you want him to be fierce and hard to beat. Really tough, and Adama Traore gets the output right. He can be the perfect winger. Lovely takedown by Bowen, who was kind of just outnumbered there, really. And the clearance by Keane Lewis-Potter. Scarlett with a touch, who flicks it down the left channel. Coyote and Adama Traore again, but going out for a Brentford throw. Three minutes to go of this very entertaining first half here at the London Stadium. Full of action and VAR drama. Some penalty shouts. Quite a few goals to boot as well. It's a pretty enjoyable game. At the moment, it's West Ham who will be booking their place in the last 8. And we'll have a home tie against Leeds in the last 8, but Brentford are not done yet. I don't expect this to be the final score. Coyote down the right hand side with Tara, just beaten to it by Ollie Scarles, who had it under control until he didn't, really. And that's gone behind for a corner. A little bit of a heavy touch there by the West Ham left back. Corner to Brentford. Well, certainly in the league, West Ham are certainly one of the worst teams when it comes to defending set pieces. So far tonight, Brentford really haven't been able to lay a glove on them from their corners. Been pretty poorly taken. This one from the right hand side. See what sort of idea comes of this. Left footed delivery. Whip deep, flicked on by Collins. And a good defensive header by Scarlett, I think that was. Collins again, using his head, but cleared away by the... Everybody was back there for West Ham. I think it was Ollie Scarlett that got the defensive header. Collins rose high and his header was heading towards goal. There's Potter. Damsgaard. Yarmoliuk back to Mikkel Damsgaard. Yeho Yarmoliuk. Henderson. Damsgaard. Trying to keep the ball moving, Brentford. Trying to work a little bit of space to exploit, but West Ham very resolute in their defending so far. Damsgaard. Again, trying to find that little jink of space. He finds Yarmoliuk, but again, pounced upon by Walker Peters, who makes sure it goes no further than a throw-in on that left-hand side. Well, not much of the first 45 to go, but I'd say with all the VAR checks and the goals, and I think we're going to have quite a few minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Michael Coyote's going to go for another one of those long throws. Right at the corner flag. Coyote fires it across. Flick-on header is met by Souček at the back post to clear it away. Brought down by Ayer. Calls a handball, but Coyote's kept it alive. And the clearance there by Walker-Peters. And I think, actually, Coyote had the last touch there. It's a goal kick. See, again, they win the first header, Brentford, but the flick-on is cleared away by a West Ham head. And we see the Collins one against Scarlett. It might have been going wide. Ultimately, Collins' header from the earlier moment, but only Scarlett had to get behind it to clear it nonetheless. 6 additional minutes, by the way, at the end of the first half, so quite a lot of interruptions. I have to say, albeit grand scheme of things, Nuno will be pretty happy with this first half. His team have looked a real threat on more than one occasion and been able to put the ball in the back of the net twice, which is not always a usual thing for West Ham to do. First time they've actually scored twice at home since the 24th of January. They won 3-1 against Sunderland on that day. They also scored 2 goals at home in the FA Cup against QPR, but that needed extra time to be met. A 2-2 draw with Brighton as well when they've scored 2 at home, so yet to lose from said position. Free kick here for the Hammers. Panos trying to measure one down the right channel. Boom with the first header, brought down by Pablo. Conte holding the ball up. Finds Walker-Peters, and then Bowen tried to go first time, but he's gifted it back by Keane Lewis-Potter, and Bowen on the breakaway again. Just about beaten to it, Lewis-Potter, but corner it will be for West Ham. Jared Bowen has given so much in this first half. Pretty impeccable, I have to say, Jared Bowen in the first period here. He's been the driving force behind West Ham's really good first half performance. Ollie Scarlett will come over and take this corner. Scarlett left for the delivery. Deep to the back post. Souček's header flicked back across of the crossbar. And Disasi with the shot that was cleared away somehow. Bowen. Scarlett's back to Walker-Peters. A possible penalty check as well ongoing. All of a sudden as Bowen was taken down. Well, that's going to be a free kick. Well, as we wait, Axel Disasi can't believe that he couldn't put it into the back of the net. See it here. Souček flicks it back across, comes off the crossbar, and then drops down as Disasi swings at it. And Kelleher with a strong hand. Drop down for Disasi, who miscued it, and it just comes off the chest of Jordan Henderson. That's what they were possibly checking, possible handball, but chest it was. No penalty, just a free kick to West Ham. Matej Fernandez going for the pinger across. Souček's had a good save by Kelleher. Great save from a wonderful delivery that was met sweetly. But Caoimhan Kelleher at the moment keeping his team within touching distance and keeping West Ham from really having a bit of daylight in this game. Souček again. I mean, he's the obvious threat from an aerial set piece, but on that occasion Brentford had just no answer for it. Great delivery by Fernandez, great header by Souček, who peeled off at the back post, threw himself at it. And Caoimhan Kelleher with a great save to stop it. Nice play by Brentford down the right here. Ouattara going for the early cross. Away by Mavropanos. And further cleared by Axel Disasi. And for West Ham, they just need to at least keep the lead going into the half. That's a must. That's a lovely ball down the left, though. Tara switched sides there and well seen away by Mavropanos, who had that well covered. Last minute of the first half. West Ham leading by 2-1. Could have been more. The chances they've had in the last few minutes, but Brentford are keeping themselves in the fight just about here in this first half. Another long throw. It seems Michael Coyote will try and launch. Into the box it goes. Drops down before it makes contact with Scarles at the back post and cleared away. There's a bit of confusion. The ball continues to bubble up and down the edge of the area. And someone's gone down there. In a Brentford shirt. Can't see, is it? It's Jordan Henderson holding his left arm. A bit of melee on the edge of the West Ham box after that clearance. See it here. Where does he land? Oh, lands squarely on his left arm. Kind of used his hand to try and hold him up, but with the sheer amount of force he was dropping to the ground, he might have really hurt his left arm there, Jordan Henderson. So down receiving treatment at the moment. As we're surely just seconds away from the first half coming to an end. Some work for Keith Andrews and this Brentford team to do, because they've looked really vulnerable at times. Jared Bowen a real threat that they really need to try and get a grasp of, because he's running this game at the minute. The one that gets poaching on the end of the chance for the first goal, and then ultimately is the one to get the second from the penalty. That either side of a strange equaliser from Brentford that Nathan Collins headed, that Igor Thiago used his chest to inadvertently deflect, and he's the one credited with the goal. All that and a few VAR checks in there as well. A very entertaining first half here as Henderson sitting up and still in pain, but saw the replay. It is a very painful land, and hopefully Jordan Henderson is okay. And nice that he's back to his feet, Henderson. Certainly not a player that won't he'll fight through anything, really, it seems, Jordan Henderson. He looks okay. I have to say, the way his arm kind of locked as he dropped to the ground with his hand kind of on the ground, it was very strange. It was kind of a straight arm that took full force. He's very lucky. Long throw in coming, surely the last action of the half. Coyotes launch off the head of Ayer, but it's actually bounced in the way of West Ham. That's nicely done. Bowen. No time for any more action. That is the end of the first half at the London Stadium, and so far it's Jared Bowen running the show for West Ham. It is the captains that have had the most impactful moments in the game. Both West Ham goals coming from Jared Bowen. And at the other end, it was Nathan Collins' header that came off Igor Thiago to get Brentford's goal of the first half. But West Ham, I think, have been the better team, and they probably deservedly lead. But it is just a narrow 2-1 lead at the break. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there! Liverpool are Premier League champions! And there it comes! Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners! Oh, he's found the net! Oh, Oh, what a goal! Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me! That is absolutely unbelievable! Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to FA Cup Live this Monday night as we conclude round 5 of the competition. And at half-time in our All-Premier League tie, our final tie of the weekend, West Ham United are leading Brentford by 2-1. Jared Bowen with both goals for the Hammers, either side of an Igor Thiago equaliser for Brentford. Already this weekend, we have seen, as I said, 7 other teams progress. It all started on Friday night as Liverpool beat Wolves, and the second meeting between the sides in the matter of days. The Liverpool 3-1 winners this time round. Andy Robertson, Mo Salah and Curtis Jones on the score sheet before Hee-Chan Hwang got a late consolation. So Liverpool through to the quarter-finals, as were Arsenal after their narrow away victory at League One Mansfield on Saturday lunchtime. Noni Madueke gave the Gunners the lead. Will Evans then levelled for Mansfield before Aberieze's goal scored was the winner to see Arsenal through to the last 8. It was a cracker of a tie, as expected, at the Stockhead Ass on Saturday evening, as Wrexham were knocked out eventually by Chelsea. It was 2-2 after 90 minutes. Sam Smith opened the scoring. Okonkwo's own goal got Chelsea level. Callum Doyle then gained the lead for Wrexham before Achiampong levelled for Chelsea. They went down to 10 men. George Dobson was sent off for Wrexham. And then into extra time, Alejandro Garnacho and João Pedro with the 2 goals see Premier League Chelsea through to the quarter-finals. It was a quadruple of away wins in the first 4 ties of the competition. Man City coming from behind to beat Newcastle at St James's Park. Harvey Barnes with the opener before Savinho Marmouche with a double in the second half made it 3-1 to City, and they're through. In Sunday's action, 2 shocks to really start the day on Sunday afternoon. It was a shock at Craven Cottage that started the afternoon. Fulham against Southampton, and the Championship side Southampton held Fulham the whole way throughout the game, and Ross Stewart converting a late penalty to see the Saints through to the quarter-finals. And League One Port Vale rock bottom of League One, knocking out Sunderland of the Premier League in that game at Vale Park. Ben Waine with the only goal of that game saw Port Vale through to the quarter-finals. And yesterday afternoon, Leeds ultimately made easy work of Championship Norwich at Elland Road. Sean Longstaff, Gabriel Gudmundsson and Joel Piroux, the 3 scorers to see Leeds through to the last 8. So, as it stands, with West Ham winning, this is the way the quarter-final draw looks. Southampton will host Arsenal at St Mary's. Chelsea will have a home tie against Port Vale at Stamford Bridge. It is a blockbuster tie between Manchester City and Liverpool at the Etihad. And Leeds United will have an away trip to West Ham or Brentford. Whoever wins this one tonight, of course, either at the London Stadium or at the GTAC. But they know a trip to the capital, Leeds, awaits them. But what side of the capital, we'll find out. Hopefully within the next hour or so, or even less than that, to see, but guaranteed an all-Premier League tie there. Certainly some exciting matchups for the quarterfinals, but of course the big one that we all will be looking forward to is Manchester City against Liverpool. Before all that though, we'll talk about the quarterfinals in a moment, but we have Champions League round of 16 action for you this midweek. Tomorrow, 2 games. Galatasaray hosting Liverpool in Turkey, in Istanbul. That's at 5:45 tomorrow, followed by a huge clash at St James's Park, the second between the 2 sides of Newcastle and Barcelona this season at St James's Park. That's tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And then 2 more round of 16 first legs for you on Wednesday night as well. But all of this FA Cup action leads up to the quarter-finals, as we mentioned, and they will be the weekend of the 4th and 5th of April, Easter weekend, which is just short of 4 weeks away. Second half, though, between West Ham and Brentford is on the way next. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. Second half between West Ham and Brentford on the way in just a second. Some changes are coming for West Ham at the break here in just a moment. But don't forget, of course, to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated. And thank you all for joining us tonight as we conclude round 5 of the FA Cup. We will hopefully find out. We're back. That was strange. And now the camera's gone. Fantastic. Right, second half is now underway at the London Stadium. And a big second half, of course, for these two teams. There we go. I can tell you that West Ham double sub, by the way. Crescencio Somerville is on to replace Adama Traore, and Ollie Scards has been replaced by Ezra Myers. So a double West Ham substitution at the break. And Somerville, of course, who scored the winner. West Ham's result away at Fulham last midweek. Hoping to continue his rich vein of form as of recent, as he enters from the bench. Of course, Brentford are the ones that have the work to do, and that's the big question of the second half. What has Keith Andrews tweaked at half time? What has he told his players in a way of trying to get back into this cup tie? Albeit they're not out of it yet. Of course, it's still only 2-1, but had to work hard at the end of that first half, Brentford, to at least keep themselves at this scoreline. Kelleher with a couple of big saves, but this time, if they continue in their same vein of that first half, I do expect them to go on and win. They've played the better team, the better football, and that's a nice ball in behind from Pablo. Finds Jared Bowen, who's on a hat-trick. Didn't want to be selfish there, Bowen. Tried to play it inside and was well cut out ultimately. That crossfield pass. Probably should have been a bit more selfish there, Jared Bowen. On a hat-trick, has been the best West Ham player of the night. Best player on the pitch tonight, and could have added a third there. Trying to be too unselfish. Ayer, long ball down the right flank for Brentford, but Disasi does a very confident job, and Ezra Myers to clear it away. Only as far as a Brentford throw in West Ham's half. You see this again, the flick on by Pablo. Bowen's well onside. I mean, Ayer's playing him on, and Bowen just breaks through. We see it here. Maybe just stumbles a little bit, doesn't take the drive into the box. If he did, it was a very good opportunity, but again, in hindsight, it's very easy to say. Coyote's going to go with a long throw again. Launched into the area. Drops down to Sassy, but trying to clear it. Little flick by Collins. Still around the area as the flag's actually gone up for offside. Kevin Shada, the one that was in an offside position. Keith Andrews mumbling to himself, and I'm sure it's a bit of frustrated mumbling from the Irishman. He's, I think, stocked up on the mints out of his coat pocket there. Keeping his breath minty fresh for this second half. Or maybe a bit of a stress kind of thing. Well, West Ham have been eliminated from the last 3 FA Cup fifth round ties. They last reached the quarterfinals, West Ham, in the 2015-16 campaign. Here comes Jared Bowen, though. Breaking away, gonna shoot this time. Well blocked by Collins. But Bowen back on it quickly. Finds Kyle Walker-Peters. Again, seemingly haven't eradicated that Bowen threat so far, though, Brentford. Which is surely key to them getting any sort of chance in this game. They have to make sure that Jared Bowen doesn't go and do what he's already done tonight and find the net again. That's a must. as I was saying, West Ham last got to the quarterfinals in the 15-16 campaign. They won 5-1 away at Blackburn Rovers in that season's 5th round. Although that stat doesn't actually tell me where they ended up, which would be nice to know. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter, goes for the early cross, and 2 players in Brentford colours down there claiming they were pushed. Igor Thiago and Dango Ouattara both throwing themselves to the ground. See it here, Disasi and Myers, the 2 that are in question here from West Ham. Yeah, that's nothing in that Igor Thiago one, and I think Dango Ouattara goes down a little easily as well. I was right to say they threw themselves down there, because very soft. West Ham actually got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the 15-16 campaign at home to Man United. And of course, Man United, who went on to win the trophy that season. That was actually after a replay. They drew 1-1 at Old Trafford in the initial tie, and then Man United won 2-1 in the reverse fixture in the replay, in a reverse tie, obviously. As I said, that was the turnaround that ultimately led to Man United getting to the semi-finals and then winning the final against Crystal Palace. Would actually like to know where Brentford were that season in the FA Cup. That would be nice to know. Kind of little contrast in a sense. I'm still looking. Coyote. There we are. Brentford were knocked out in the 15-16 campaign in the 3rd round by Walsall at Griffin Park. Not that that's of any importance. Walsall were in the 3rd tier at that point, so that was League One. And Brentford were, of course, in the Championship. Anyway, that was completely pointless information, but here they come now. Kevin Shada breaking down the left, gets past Walker Peters, and the cross cleared away by Disasi. Went forward the throw, but given a little bit more of a fight. And I have to say, in terms of Brentford, the most threatening player all night has been Kevin Shada. If they're really going to create much, it's going to come through him. And again, he's involved in winning them a throw-in down the left here, which Coyote again, unsurprisingly, will try and use that. Oh, caught that one wrong. It's flicked on at the near post and headed on and plucked out of the air by Alphonse Areola. Whether he meant that or not, Michael Coyote, it was well adjusted to by Brentford, I have to say. From his standards, it was a pretty poor long throw. You see it here again. Surely it has to be. Yeah, it's definitely purposeful, because Keane Lewis-Potter makes a weird run and he's the one that gets the flick at the near post, so it's definitely purposeful. Change it up a little bit, why not? Didn't work, but worth the go. Axel Disasi with a free kick for West Ham. Looped up into the air, but Myers trying to bring it down. Somerville does bring it down as the 2 West Ham subs combine. And they win a throw-in. Myers, flick on, headed down towards Somerville by Pablo. Pablo back on it again, feeds it in behind for Somerville, who made the run down the left. Up against Coyote, holding him off well there, Crescentio Somerville, but the little flick was well cut out by Dango Ouattara. Disasi comes in and takes it all with him. And Igor Thiago back there has to put it out for another West Ham throw. Well done by Axel Disasi there. Pressed in at the right time and kept his team up the field with that aggressive approach. Well, oh, here's Pablo from that throw in the cutback. Bowen was well shielded that time by Christopher Ayer, but it will be a West Ham corner. And Pablo wants the home crowd to have a bit of a reaction there, which they do. And Somerville over to take this West Ham corner. The first corner of the second half. What can Somerville do from his delivery? Eyes up, right-footed delivery, deep to the back post. First contact was a Brentford head, but still alive as they do clear it away with Damsgaard, but doesn't actually get it very far, but it will be a Brentford throw ultimately. It's Keane Lewis Potter feeling something when he won that header at the back post. Camera again points to Matej Fernandez, who's been also key in the midfield of West Ham tonight, linking up the play between the lines. The 21-year-old Portuguese. Oh, nicely spun by Somerville to win it back. Edge of the area, will shoot, and a looping effort. Took a deflection. Is forced behind for the corner. Yeah, the change of the game. Somerville not afraid to take men on and drive towards the box, and never gives up on this, even when he is dispossessed. And as he breaks back onto it, has the shot, comes off the kind of the thigh of Michael Coyote, and behind for the corner. Bowen will come over to take this one. He's done everything right so far, Jared Bowen, tonight. Left-footed delivery, it's deep, but right onto the hands of Caoimhan Kelleher, who unleashes Kevin Shada. But the two number 7s collide, and Shada wins the free kick off Somerville. Well, West Ham had a little sticky patch of home form since between September and the start of 2026. They'd won just 2 of their 10 home league games. West Ham, they'd lost 7 of those. The other one was a draw. Since that, they're unbeaten in the last 4 home games in all competitions. 2 wins and 2 draws, as I said, including draws against Bournemouth and Man United, and a win against Sunderland in that mix as well. So a turnaround in their home form is a welcome turnaround. Actually, only 3 home wins in the league all season, West Ham. Which is, you know, we talk a lot about teams that have to make sure their home form is what carries them along, and it's kind of what's let West Ham down a lot this season. 3 wins, 3 draws, and 8 defeats out of 14 home games in the league this season. Only Spurs and Burnley have picked up less points at home than West Ham this season. And league's bottom side, Wolves, have the exact same number of points picked up at home as West Ham. Ayer. Coyote. Oh, a little bit loose. Damsgaard couldn't pick up, but Pablo does for West Ham, and he was a little bit hesitant on the ball. Easily shoved off it. Damsgaard finds Henderson. Tries to feed it down the right for Shada, who has a real task on, and it's escaped past him. Goal kick it will be. Looks like some more movement from the West Ham bench. Well, this is the first time since the 2018-19 season that Brentford have reached the 5th round of the FA Cup, although the Bees have failed to progress beyond this stage on their previous 3 occasions since they beat Blackburn 2-0 in 88-89 and going out to eventual winners Liverpool in the quarterfinals in that season. So both teams, their last appearances in the quarterfinals was courtesy of wins over Blackburn Rovers. A weird little link there. West Ham going to make this change. Going to see a swapping of the centre forwards. Pablo's going to be coming off, and Tati Castellanos is going to be coming on to replace him. And around about half an hour still to play. Coyote will launch another one of these long throws. I think this has been exclusively Brentford's attack in the whole of the second half, as these long throws from Coyote. It's not a bad threat to have. That long throw bundled all the way through, and Bowen can clear in the edge of the box. It's been lacking threat though. I mean, albeit they've had 9 shots, Brentford, and 4 of them on target, so when they do come forward they are more threatening and more accurate than West Ham, but by being clinical, and so far that's something you can't throw at West Ham for not being clinical. They certainly have been. It's going to be a free kick, so check just brought down there by Kevin Shada. He's got a bit of a nervous figure at times tonight, Nuno, especially at the moment. Prancing up and down his technical area, but nervous looking. West Ham have a free kick here, right on the arm mark. And tonight they've been a lot more threatening from set pieces. Fernandez with another one of those fizzed switch ball deliveries, but this time Shada gets something to it. Not cleared away though, as Mavropanos trying to keep it alive down the left channel. And there's a tricky winger, but in the end has the touch that goes behind for the goal kick. Mavropanos probably should stick to his position. Well, these two still have to play each other in the league for the second time this season. They play each other at the G-Tech late in the season, in the fourth to last game of the season, match day 35 at the start of May. Who knows, by that point one of them could be chasing a European finish and the other could be either relegated or is still in a relegation battle. And another reminder, they're very contrasting seasons. Well, West Ham have made 3 changes despite leading, but it looks like Brentford are going to go to their bench for the first time tonight in a few minutes, as Somerville wins the free kick out of Yehor Yarmolyuk. That's another aspect of this game in the second half that West Ham also need to hone in on, is just slowing the game down, breaking the game apart, not allowing Brentford to garner any rhythm. Somerville a key player in that. He's breaking the game apart, winning set pieces. And Yarmolyuk's last action is to give away a free kick because he's been replaced by Mathias Jensen. So Mathias Jensen replaces Yehor Yarmolyuk. And was key in getting Brentford through in the third round of the FA Cup. Mathias Jensen scored and assisted in the 2-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. Scored the penalty in the second half that added the second goal that just kind of gave them a bit of daylight. Keane Lewis Potter with the first on that game. Yes, his last 2 goals for Brentford have come in cup competitions. However, he did score in Brentford's 2-0 win over West Ham all the way back in October here, Mathias Jensen. And that was the second goal for Brentford in that game after Igor Thiago scored the first Brentford goal. Who knows, a bit of deja vu possible there. Another Coyote long throw, headed away by Mavropanos, and Matheus Fernandez with a lovely little bit of a footwork there. Now Walker Peters breaking down the right side, looking for options as he arrives at the halfway line. Not many to find, and takes his time. Mohamedou Kante. Back to Disasi, who finds Myers. Somerville. Back the way to Axel Disasi. Well, can West Ham manage this game to a finish? A spot in the quarterfinals for the first time in 10 seasons in this competition. And what has been a positive distraction from league struggles. That's a lovely ball by Jared Bowen. Somerville can keep it in, he can. 1v1 against Coyote here. Somerville trying to check his way past, cuts it back. Bowen was arriving. Suchak. Shot blocked by Ayer. Well, the cutback by Somerville was gagging for Jared Bowen to tap it in, as it was beautifully laid back. This ball from Jared Bowen, though, unbelievable switch ball. And Somerville here takes his time, tiptoeing, tiptoeing, tiptoeing. Then has the cutback, and Bowen busting a gut to get in there. And he was just about a couple of inches behind him. Wasn't too far away from him. And then Souček on the follow-up. Well blocked by Christopher Ayer, but two wide players there for West Ham linking up and getting them another attacking chance. Bowen to Somerville. And he tried to return the favour, Chrysantheo Somerville, but not on that occasion. The more times that West Ham continue to threaten for that third goal and fail to come up with it, you know, you've got to question the fact of Brentford are still very much in this game, and there's still a lot of time for this game to swing the other way. The FA Cup, you never know what's coming next. Corner to Brentford, left hand side. Again, another opportunity for everybody to muddle in and around the West Ham goalkeeper in the 6-yard box and cause madness and chaos in there. I mean, it's crazy. Corner whipped in. Areola, despite being smothered, punches it cleanly. Picked back up by Damsgaard on the edge, though. And Somerville was there to poke it out for the throw. Well, I have to say, well done Alphonse Areola, because he was surrounded by about 8 players. And he did really well to command his area. Clear that ball away. As once again, Coyote will launch another long throw. This one gets good distance. Areola there to punch once more. Little flick by Shada keeps it alive. Back to Coyote. Uses his feet this time. Cleared away by Axel Disasi. But again, Lewis Potter's shot deflects and loops into the hands of the West Ham goalkeeper. I think almost exclusively Brentford's throw-ins have been long throws all night. I mean, it's all well and good, but when you overuse it, I mean, it just becomes a bit boring. With 24 throw-ins tonight, Brentford, and I wouldn't be surprised if the vast majority of them have been long throws. That's a nice ball in behind here. Somerville, well marshalled. Well dealt with by Shadow, who's backtracking. Nicely done. Lewis Potter finds Igor Thiago, who's been quite quiet so far in the second half, and he undercooks that pass, which Somerville can close out from the chasing Dango Ouattara. And that's nicely done by West Ham defensively. Yeah, Somerville thwarted at one end, and he's back to do his defensive duties at the other. Nicely done. That's good football under pressure. Walker-Peters, Fernandez, back to Kyle Walker-Peters in this inverted position. Feeds it forward. Castellanos was quick, but Collins was quicker. He closed that option out. Seems like the game's ramping up in tempo a little bit again. That'll be perfect for the last 20 minutes or so. I wouldn't say the game's been cagey in the second half, but I'd say it's been More of a fair battle between the two teams. Here's Jordan Henderson. Damsgaard. Jensen. And that Brentford midfield has lacked a lot. That's a nice ball though from Damsgaard. And Igor Thiago trying to edge out the chance for the shot, but well closed out. And again, West Ham, lovely little footwork, but Mohamedou Kante lets it down. Poor touch, but the play before was scintillating. That's a lovely switch ball this from Brentford. Shada. It's the play back to Henderson. It's not forceful enough, Brentford. Shada whips a ball in. That's a header, but it's right down the throat of Areola. Coyote got up and rising, but Areola had it all under control. Yeah, it's just a little bit nice at the minute for Brentford. You don't really feel they're getting stuck in. Really trying to upset West Ham here. They're just trying to be too cute with it. Need to be a bit quicker. Need to be a bit more kind of forceful in a way. West Ham are able to just mop them up and close them out at the minute. They need to cause a little bit of a disruption. Here's Mikkel Damsgaard up against Souček. Souček does really well. Mikkel Damsgaard thwarted there. Goal kick to West Ham. You just need to change this game, Brentford, because it continues as it is. West Ham will see this one out for the victory. And there's a look at the 1980 FA Cup achievement for West Ham. 46 years ago. Cup glory for the Hammers. I mean, it would be a season that would be quite strange if West Ham went on to win the FA Cup, but in a relegation battle. But we've seen it before. It has happened previously. Actually, West Ham were the last team that weren't a top flight team to win the FA Cup. Ouattara. Damsgaard. Michael Coyote back to Mikkel Damsgaard. Pokes it through for Dango Ouattara, who went completely unnoticed, and as he got into the box, a poor first touch. Sees it out for a goal kick. Lacking quality, really, kind of Brentford. Really lacking quality in the final third. As I said, albeit they've had the shots and they've had the chances, but there's really silly moments they just can't afford to be making at this stage of the game. And it's just not allowing them to really create any rhythm and put West Ham under any sort of pressure at the minute. And as I say, despite cutting a nervous figure, I'm sure Nuno wouldn't be too terrified by what he's seeing from the opposition, but that's also probably a reason to be worried. And the fact that they are being a little bit quiet, Brentford, and that's when you worry. That's a poor challenge there. Mohamedou Kante taken out by Christopher Ayer. He gives away a free kick. The referee says it's just a free kick, not a yellow card. I think he's just got that one right. I think the referee. Don't think it's enough for a booking, but it is a foul. Mateus Fernandes is the one that stands over this West Ham free kick. Everybody back for Brentford. They can't afford to give up too many chances this late in the game. Fernandes spins it round the back, headed across, and Collins to clear it away. Bowen trying to get involved. Brentford trying to scramble it clear. Nice flick by Souček. Bowen across, and Collins was there again to intercept, but West Ham were able to once again probe their way into the Brentford area before being cleaned away by Nathan Collins. But to really sum up this game, at the moment, it feels like it's a lot easier for West Ham to get into Brentford's box than it is for Brentford to get into West Ham's box, and that's a pretty critical kind of difference between the two teams in an attacking sense. Brentford are making real hard work of trying to find a way into the West Ham area, whereas in the opposition, it's looking really comfortable for West Ham to get into that threatening position up the other ends. Well, that's another poor ball. Ayer gives it away really cheaply, but all comes from the poor ball across from Nathan Collins, who really puts his partner into a terrible position. It just looked out of sync at times tonight, Brentford. Bowen. It's one thing you can't throw at West Ham, despite the 7 changes. They haven't played like a team that's looked mashed together. Played quite fluidly at times, West Ham. Here's Matej Fernandes. Waits for Myers, who will pick up the pass. Back to Fernandes. Disasi as West Ham pushing forward into the Brentford half again. Walker-Peters plays it back to Mavropanos, and Disasi is West Ham ready. Another substitution as Tati Castellanos going to be penalised for a foul here. That's going to cue the substitution. So Mohamedou Kante is going to be replaced by Songotu Magasa. So Magasa replacing Kante. Straight swap in the middle for West Ham. That's their 4th substitution. The 22-year-old Frenchman Magasa coming on for his 3rd appearance in the FA Cup this season. Got an assist already in the competition in the 2-1 win over QPR in the 3rd round. He set up Crysentiu Somerville's goal in the first half of that game. Bubbling ball that Castellanos was excited by. Bowen threw himself over Keane Lewis Potter, but it'll be a Brentford throw. Time just ticking away from Keith Andrews' team here, albeit they're still within a goal, but have to be completely honest, they're lacking any real conviction to look to fight for an equaliser. I mean, that could change at a split second, but at the minute I'm not convinced. I can very easily eat my own words here. And Brentford are going to go to their bench again, so the bench is coming very pertinent. Only the 2nd substitution it will be for Brentford in a moment. Collins. Lewis Potter. Across to Christopher Ayer. Now Jordan Henderson. Need to be a bit quicker here, Brentford. Really quite laboured. This is what I mean. There's just no energy. No kind of urgency from this Brentford team that they're 2-1 down away from home and going out of the FA Cup. I mean, it's trying to be too easy on the eye. Just garner some momentum. Be nowhere near it. Matej Fernandes, lovely switch ball. Bowen has space in this right hand side. Open. Bowen jets it across. Has it go? And a good save by Kelleher denies him again. Another chance for Bowen to try and find his hat-trick. This time he eyes up like he's going to cross, and then he takes the shot. It's well saved by Kelleher at his near post. Behind for the corner. And Bowen will take this corner. Trying to take on some fluids there in the meantime, Jared Bowen, but corner it will be. Goal here for West Ham would surely wrap it up, but Brentford have hung on there. Bowen deep. Oh, Kelleher got a hand to that as Mavropanos was trying to threaten. And I have to say, despite his team's poor performance tonight, Caoimhan Kelleher has come up with some big saves and big moments to keep his team within a chance of nicking this game. Without Kelleher, I think Brentford will be well cut adrift here. But here they come with a little bit of space of their own now. Lewis Potter feeds it into Ouattara, who crosses. Coyote threw himself at it, but they're going to get a penalty. Andy Manley said he was pushed. Coyote, I thought he threw himself at it. But the referee says penalty, and it's going to be a yellow card. Handed out to... I'm not too sure. Well. Yeah, Dango Ouattara's cross. Yeah. That's really, really silly. I mean, it's just... It's lazy, to say the very least, from Caoimhan Somerville, because he makes no attempt to go up and try and win the ball. Uses his arm to shove Coyote in the back, and, I mean, that's really, really silly. Somerville gets a booking. West Ham now have a penalty against them. And it was a penalty that gave them the lead again against Brentford, so it would only be fitting that Brentford have the chance to do the same, to tie the game back up again with 10 minutes to go. Alphonse Areola up against Matthijs Jensen. Scored in this ground back in October. It's actually not going to be Jensen, he's left the ball. And it's actually going to be Igor Thiago. He's scored already tonight. Whether he meant it or not, completely unimportant. Can he match Jared Bowen, who's scored both West Ham goals? Can Thiago score both Brentford goals from the spot to level the game? Thiago against Areola. Igor Thiago! Keeper moved. Brentford level. Igor Thiago. 2-2. And Brentford are not out of this cup just yet. And this, hopefully, surely, will be a blockbuster last 10 minutes. West Ham 2, Brentford 2. Caoimhan Somerville, usually the difference maker at the right end, but the difference maker at the wrong end this time, giving away the penalty. Igor Thiago keenly slots home. I mean, I have to say, Alphonse Areola does not cover himself in glory. I mean, the shot's right down the middle. He doesn't move and still misses the moment to try and make the save. Misses the ball completely. 2-2 it is. And Igor Thiago, two key moments. Whether he meant to take the first one or not, he won't care. But he meant that second one. And that has tied the game back up again. Bowen with 2. Thiago with 2. West Ham 2. Brentford 2. And this FA Cup tie, as it stands, might need some extra minutes to find a winner. As Collins was fouled there by Souček. Well, this is the point you make. And of course, as I said, I wasn't convinced that Brentford were going to find the leveller by their own play, ultimately aided by West Ham in doing so. But, I mean, how many chances have West Ham had since they went 2-1 up to try and further that lead? And I said, I think Caoimhan Kelleher's played a massive role in keeping Brentford in this game and giving them that chance to nick a late equaliser. That's exactly what they've done. And it just shows you how important those key moments can be. Big saves that might not look like ultimate major moments, but very much keep the team in the game. And now Brentford have a bit of momentum to try and complete the comeback. Damsgaard, lovely little flick, finds Keane Lewis Potter, whose shot got his way past Areola but spun away from goal at the last second. Keane Lewis Potter here. Nice little 1-2 with Damsgaard, lovely return ball, and Walker Peters completely beaten. And here, Keane Lewis Potter. See it here with a cross with the left. Goes all the way through Areola and right out the other end. Spins away from goal. Whoa. Lovely from Damsgaard though. Beautiful. And a little 1-2. Collins pumps it up long. Igor Thiago battling Disasi. And now Brentford have come alive all of a sudden. They've got the energy and West Ham look a little tired. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter. Down the left again. Doubling them up on this time, but Kevin Schad has got onto it. Jared Bowen, who else for West Ham, wrestles his way back onto the ball. And now plays a lovely ball to Crysencio Somerville, who will want to make up for his earlier mistake. He's 3 in front of him. Keeps a hold of the ball for the moment. Can he make something happen? He's carried well wide by Coyote, but he's still alive as he tries to beat him back inside. Gets the better of his man, cuts it back. No one in the middle to meet it. And Shada with a clearance. Well, Somerville there did really well to make anything out of that moment when he was 3 Brentford players standing around him and he somehow created something out of it. But this game could go either way. And with 5 minutes to go of the 90, at the minute, the only way we're going is to extra time unless we get a winner. Henderson pumps it forward. One for Thiago to chase. Disasi got the better. No foul. Igor Thiago's got the better of his man here. Into the box. Slays it across. Watara couldn't take it in and cleared away at the back post. A few West Ham players fall to the ground there. Somerville the first. Castellanos the second. And it is a free kick to West Ham. As Brentford going to finally make this substitution. I think I mentioned that about near 10 minutes ago now. And it is going to be Rommel Donovan who's going to come on. And he's going to replace Mikkel Damsgaard. Now, Rommel Donovan, who we watched in the 4th round against Macclesfield. And got my honourable mention of the game that night for a very good performance for the youngster. He's on in the final few minutes of the normal time here at the London Stadium. Some fresh legs. Can we find a winner? Or will we need extra time? Or even possibly penalties to decide a winner? Actually, we've only went to extra time once in this 5th round. That was at Wrexham Chelsea. And we haven't had a penalty shootout in this round. This is going to be a first opportunity for that tonight. Will the 90 minutes be enough to decide a winner? Dango with Tara's cross. Donovan was in the mix as well as Igor Thiago, but West Ham scramble at half clear. Donovan linking up with Michael Coyote. Donovan no way through. Well shielded by Matej Fernandez, and Bowen looking for options, looking for passes. Does find Ezra Myers, who does enough to eke out a throw there. Myers plays it forward. Header won by Henderson, brought down by Magassa. Mavropanos. Walker Peters. Sanga to Magassa. Space ahead of him to exploit, but he plays a lazy pass to Souček and given away cheaply. And Jensen there to pick it up for Brentford. 2 minutes of the 90 to go, plus whatever additional time we will have. Of course, both sides, I believe, have the week off. I would say they would, because they don't have European football. West Ham don't play till Saturday. They host Man City Saturday evening. And Brentford also at home. They're at home on Monday evening in exactly a week's time against Wolves. So both sides won't be majorly affected by extra time, as they don't play until next weekend. But Kevin Schade there brought down. It's going to be a Brentford free kick, and it's going to be a yellow card as well coming out here to Thomas Souček. I'd love nothing more than a late winner here. Whoa, that free kick was a major waste from Brentford. Right out of play for a throw. Well, I think Nuno Espirito Santo was right to be nervous for all that time. His team have led twice, Nuno. Pegged back twice. Can they go in front for a third time, or will Brentford buck the trend and take the lead for the first time? Or will there be no way of separating them? Well, let's find out how many minutes they will have before the need of extra time. 90 is up, and it will be 4 minutes. Not much there, but it's 4 minutes to see if we're going to get a winner in 90, or maybe another 30 might be needed. And if the game continues in the entertainment we got in the first half, I wouldn't mind another 30 minutes, but I don't think either side will be too pleased with an extra 30 minutes, but Michael Coyote is going to try and change that. Long throw in here for Brentford coming. Still time. As Keith Andrews takes a seat for probably the first time tonight. He's actually sat down. Michael Coyote. Another one of those launch and throws. Away at the near post by Ezra Myers. A nice Somerville was well cut out, but Matej Fernandez tried to keep the counter alive, but overhit it. In the end, Kelleher's clearance. Avrapanos with the header. Followed up by Henderson. Head tennis at the minute between the two teams, and Henderson's flick right to the left channel. It's one to chase, and actually did well there. Dango Ouattara to deny West Ham the goal kick, and it's just a throw in deep in their own half, so keeps the pressure on. With 2.5 minutes of the added time to go before possible extra time. Walker Peters looking for options, shakes his head and trying to find one. Goes right 2 yards away from him. We'll win another throw-in. Igor Thiago feels that it should have went the other way, but he would say that. Well, either of these two teams want to win it before extra time. They need to get a move on. Walker Peters, down the line it goes. A couple of flicks all the way back to Collins, chested down by Matej Fernandez in his own half. Disasi. Mavropanos finds Magassa, who's well closed down by Henderson. Magassa gets the little flick to find Somerville, and West Ham might be away here. Magassa, very heavy first touch. Well closed out. And now Coyote, nice little 1-2, finds Henderson. He tries to fire it forward. Took a deflection on the long ball, and it's going to be a Brentford throw. Time ticking away. It's Henderson's another wound for him. He'll soldier on as expected. And I think the inevitable is on the way. Another 30 minutes. Unless Coyote finds Igor Thiago. A little bit of space here for Brentford if they can make it happen. Jensen. Down the line it goes. Dango Ouattara whips an early ball in. Suchek clears. Another throw in incoming. It's now or never really. Otherwise extra time will be needed. Michael Coyote. Can he make one of these long throws count? He's had countless numbers of them tonight. Can one of them be perfect? Another launch. Bounces down and right at Alphonse Areola, who was alert. Needed to be. Maybe last chance maybe for West Ham if they can get something here. No. Castellanos well shielded, and he's actually given away a foul of his own there. And there it is. End of the normal time. Extra time needed. And after 94 minutes, it's finished. West Ham 2, Brentford 2. Extra time on the way next. Do stay with us. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. The extra time is on the way very shortly. Actually, in a moment or so, after 90 minutes of play, it was 2-2. The sides could not be separated. After Jared Bowen opened the scoring, Igor Thiago found the leveller. And Jared Bowen from the penalty spot gave West Ham the lead before Igor Thiago from the penalty spot got Brentford back on terms. West Ham going to make another change going into extra time. It's going to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to be coming on very shortly as the referee just explains the rules of extra time. I mean, I don't think you need to. And it does the coin toss. And they get a third chance, you gotta say. This thing forever blowing bubbles. West Ham, which is a rarity. But can they make it count? Well, you have to say they've had the chances tonight to really put the game to bed, but they couldn't. Brentford kept themselves in the fight despite showing little quality. And then they got their penalty that found them their leveller, but that's sometimes what cup football's all about, just hanging in there and maybe getting one chance that can turned the game in your favour, and now the Brentford team, who looked nowhere near fighting to win this game, have taken it to extra time at least, and are at least fighting to stay in the FA Cup. West Ham team, who for a lot of the night had led, weren't able to hold on to that lead to the final of the 90 minutes. But you kind of feel coming into extra time, maybe it is Brentford that have the momentum. There's an early cross. Disasi clears, drops for Jensen. Now Keane Lewis-Potter, he will try and whip it in, headed away by Wan-Bissaka, who's just on the field. And he replaced Kyle Walker-Peters at right back for West Ham. Some fresh legs on at full back. Very experienced Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And he says, what a game you choose to cover, a good one tonight, man. As a neutral, I'm enjoying the commentary and the football. I did that like hitting, and I'm subscribing, getting all the notifications. Thank you very much indeed, Andy, as always. Yeah, well, it has been a good game, to be fair. Very enjoyable, but again, if you've ever watched this channel before, you know I'm not a fan of extra time by any stretch. It's a pointless 30 minutes of football. Pointless. I mean, why not just go to penalties? The vast majority of extra time goes to penalties anyway, so just do that. Plus, people enjoy penalty shootouts more. They're more fun. Anyway, I want to avoid becoming a broken record and saying this every time that there's extra time, but sometimes you do get some exciting games in extra time, but more often than not, it turns out to be a disappointing outcome. Bowen. Wan-Bissaka. On the right. Back to Jared Bowen, who's, credit to him, continually kept to the pace of the game all night. Somerville just about kept that one in of Magassa's poor ball. Somerville down the line to Myers. Back to Crescencio Somerville. Well, it was Somerville's mistake, the foul on Michael Coyote that gave Brentford the penalty. And Igor Thiago converted, and that's why we are here at this moment in time and not seeing West Ham through to round the quarterfinals just yet. Or can Brentford have a say of their own? Mavropanos. Back to Alphonse Areola. Disasi. Down the left. Magassa. Breaking forward. Myers. To Somerville now. Going for the switch. Nice ball by Somerville. Wan-Bissaka did well to keep it. Heavy ball that was bouncing. Wan-Bissaka. Some fresh legs that can be a real difference maker in extra time, of course. A lot of the players out there, tired legs, tired minds. Some freshness can really make the difference. Here's Somerville. Rolled it out wide to Myers, who lifts it high. Far too high. Goal kick. Another long throw-in incoming here for Michael Coyote. He actually goes short this time, which is a shock. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter. This is a nice little stat for you. The last time West Ham were in a penalty shootout in a competitive game was the 2022-23 campaign in the League Cup. And they lost that. They'd won the 3 previous in that, including their last FA Cup penalty shootout, which was in the 3rd round replay against Everton in January 2015, and they won 9-8 in the shootout. So that's when it comes to West Ham. Brentford's I haven't quite got yet, but I'll get it for you. So Cech and Bowen combining there, but unable to keep the ball in play. Through in though it was. Castellanos went down, wins a free kick. Dean Lewis Potter not in agreement with the decision, but decision goes the way of the Hammers. And they're going to see a change of their own, Brentford. Sepp Vandenberg is going to be coming on. So fresh legs at the back for them. He's going to replace Christopher Ayer, so a straight swap at centre back for Brentford. Trying to find the penalty shootout record. They're hiding it quite well. Nonetheless, free kick here for West Ham. Matej Fernandez swings it into the area. Souček with the header, but watched all the way by Kelleher, who for so many times tonight has had such calm hands. There's on more than one occasion kept Brentford in this. This is sometimes what extra time can be. Both sides just trying not to lose the game. Although here's Igor Thiago. Good save by Areola. And Bowen trying to clear. Aided by a referee deflection there that's gonna have to be stopped, of course. Yeah, great by the new fresh-legged man, Sepp Vandenberg. Well, here's something. Brentford have been in penalty shootouts quite often recently. All in the League Cup, by the way. Their last 7 penalty shootouts, Brentford, have been in the League Cup. They've won 5, lost 2. Their last and one and only on record recent FA Cup penalty shootout was back in 2004-05 in the first round when they beat Bristol City 4-3 on penalties. That's the only one that we have on recent record, but a lot of them have come in the League Cup, and they've won their last 3 penalty shootouts, Brentford, including one already this season. Well, it was in the 3rd round of the League Cup against Aston Villa, and they won 5-3 on penalties in that game, if it gets that far. Disasi. Mavropanos. Looks like a bit of a change in idea here from West Ham. Looks like Souček's just dropped in alongside Disasi and Mavropanos and trying to get the fullbacks further forward. Here's Magassa. Right wide to the very high up Wan-Bissaka, who drops in field. Links up with Bowen. Bowen to Magassa. He swings at it and swings it well behind for a goal kick. I mean, that's tired, but he's not on the pitch all that long. In total, probably about 25 minutes, 20 minutes. Andy says in extra time that you're right, there's more fear of losing the game, and that's what it looks like. Well, the majority of the time, that is the case. You know, I don't know what the updated stats are, but in terms of extra time, I think there's a higher percentage of games that go into extra time that end up going to penalties than the other way about, winning in extra time. Fernandez, now Bowen. Bowen in the box. Bowen pokes it across. Well cut out. Ultimately. Coyote. Right down the right hand side comes Donovan. Up against Myers. Two youngsters here. Donovan. Back it goes. Henderson's deep cross. Panos doesn't get it away cleanly here. Oh, there's a clip here. Aaron Wan-Bissaka did get something to that. It's a goal kick it is, but looked like... Oh no, there's no contact. Looked like it was clipped, but from long range, but he's dived there. I mean, Jesus. Embarrassing that is. Brentford with the throw in here as we're 11.5 minutes into extra time. Either side yet to really put out a massive opportunity. They're all just a bit knackered. Here's Keane Lewis-Potter, who looks as bright as he did at the first minute. Whips it across! That was well done, but Ezra Myers had it under control at the back post. Wrestling. Igor Thiago there. Donovan's there to pick up the pieces, though, for Brentford. He's got some fresh legs. He's at the Henderson. Back down the right-hand side. Dango with Tara's cross. Up and away by Disasi, and Bowen trying to help out defensively. Does so. And now Wan-Bissaka. Quickness of feet and mind, and does well to find Crysanthio Somerville. As the crowd try and G up Somerville on the breakaway here. Crysanthio Somerville, one of 3 West Ham players in the box, but he couldn't squeeze through the sheer amount of Brentford players in his way. And that clearance ultimately will be seen out for a West Ham throw. Yeah, this lovely from Keane Lewis-Potter, really sharp. And as he whips across in, again, no one in the middle that pounce upon that chance. It's a couple of times both teams have got to the byline with the cutbacks, and no one's been in the middle to get on the end of them. So Checo, a little bit of a deflection. Castellanos was beaten to it by Lewis-Potter, but Wan-Bissaka skips away from his man, and again wide it goes. Souček. Can he dig out across? He can, but Caoimhan Kelleher has that one well under control, no question. Well, who knows, he could come into action. Caoimhan Kelleher a little later. Lewis-Potter breaking forward. Nice little 1-2. Lewis-Potter couldn't get on the end of the second one. Oh, that's a lovely stat. I've just read a stat about Caoimhan Kelleher, but if we get to that stage, I will let you know. But it's about penalties. West Ham going to go to the bench again. So they made 4 changes in normal time. And of course, you're afforded 6 subs after if you go into extra time. But I never, I didn't think there was a limit in terms of how many times you can sub a player. But I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka came on at the start of extra time, so it doesn't really count as a time used. And Callum Wilson, by the way, is the key important factor of that situation. He looks to be the one that's coming on for the West Ham's 6th substitution of the game. One additional minute at the end of the first half of extra time. And it was pretty uneventful first 15 minutes. Part of me really does want penalties, but I always say that. Who doesn't love a penalty shootout? That's nice though. Igor Thiago finds Kevin's shadow. He tries to poke it across again behind a man. Donovan! Over the crossbar. Massive opportunity for Ramel Donovan. Again, really good play by Brentford. Igor Thiago to Shada. Shada trying to cut it across just behind, under the foot of Dango Ouattara. And then arriving on the half turn was Ramel Donovan. And it's well worth the hit, but he just gets underneath it. And that is a huge, huge moment. And that is the end of the first half of extra time. And the best chance came right at the death. But neither side could find the net so far in 15 minutes. And at half-time and extra time, it remains 2-2. Second half on the way in a moment. Welcome back to FA Cup Live as we're ready for the second half of extra time and another 15 minutes for these two teams to try and edge out a winner. Ramel Donovan came the closest in that first half of extra time, right at the last few seconds of the first half of extra time. But now they have another 15 minutes to try and find a winner. Otherwise, penalties might be needed. And while I'm doing that, I'm collating all my information ahead of a penalty shootout. So, hopefully, that does come around. Have to be objective, though, but we'll all be lying if we didn't think that we didn't want penalties at this point. I have to say, they'll all sleep tonight, definitely. Can Captain Jared Bowen step up again for West Ham? Remember, he's still on a hat-trick. Igor Thiago at the other end is also still on a hat-trick, so that could be a winning incentive if there's ever need for another one. And Callum Wilson's going to be coming on, as I mentioned. They've waited till half-time and extra time to make that sub West Ham. So Callum Wilson's coming on. Who for? I'll find out in a second. That's another thing, it's tactical, because if they do go to penalties, you want to have your best penalty takers on the pitch, and bringing an attacker on for another player, you don't want to lose a player ahead of penalties. So Callum Wilson's on for Mateusz Fernandes. And Kevin Shada has also been replaced for Caoimhan Ferris. So both sides making changes at half-time and extra time. And is there a winner in this game? Or will the ultimate decider be needed to pick a winner? For the first time in round 5 this season. Haven't reached penalty kicks so far of our 7 previous ties. Could they save the best till last? Of course, easy to forget that these two are fighting for a home tie against Leeds United in the quarterfinals. That's what the reward of the winner gets. Magassa wins another throw in here for West Ham. Ezra Myers to take. Bowen, little flick. Finds Castellanos. Finds Callum Wilson. First involvement. Oh, and Caoimhan Kelleher has to make the save. Callum Wilson only on the field about 55 seconds. And already carves out a huge chance. And a great save by Caoimhan Kelleher. Took a deflection on the way through as well. Kelleher had to readjust as he was diving. Big save. Again, Kelleher has kept Brentford in this time and time again. Somerville to take the corner. Right footed, deep. Headed away at the back post by Brentford head and further cleared from Ezra Myers trying to keep it alive. But West Ham will inevitably retrieve possession with their goalkeeper, Ariola. Castellanos beaten to the header, but Magassa will pick it up and flick it forward. Coyote wins the header and so does Souček. Brought down by Somerville. Now both sides have now had a huge chance in extra time to win it. Donovan heading it over the crossbar for Brentford. And Callum Wilson having his shot well saved by Caoimhan Kelleher for West Ham. So, both sides, big chances. And Ramel Donovan here highly involved. Somerville giving away a free kick. Yeah, just a pull back on the youngster. Definitely a foul. Definitely a free kick. Brentford set piece. There's not much invention coming off it. Going short. Henderson finds Donovan up against Myers. Donovan chops inside, then back outside, then inside again, then outside again. And Donovan across. Low and hard and cleared away by Castellanos. Nice Somerville. Bursting away for West Ham. Trying to measure one in behind for his captain Bowen, but Kelleher alert all the way through. And thumps that one clear. It's Castellanos. Or Mavropanos, sorry, was taken out by Caoimhan Ferris. Mavropanos was absolutely walloped there by Ferris. Says, get out of my way. Unfortunately for him, Mavropanos had already cleared the ball. Souček. Mavropanos going for the switch. Somerville's quick, but he's not that quick. Throw into Brentford. Long throw by Coyote. This time to try and get them up the field. Oh, a little slip there from Mavropanos, but he makes up for it ultimately. Still 11 minutes of extra time remain. Souček trying to angle a ball out to the right flank, taken in well by Wan-Bissaka. Again looking for space, not much there to find as Magassa feeds it across to Myers on the left. Down the left channel is Somerville. Looking for options, whips it towards the box. Nice curling effort, but headed away. And followed up by Coyote's clearance as well. Myers high up the field and looking to take advantage, but edged out there, and that's going to go out for a Brentford throw. Henderson digs one out with a clearance, but couldn't be held up by Brentford, and now Bowen feeds it into Wilson. Wilson across. Castellanos claims a handball. Incessant claims from the home crowd and the home players, but referee was very decisive. Very theatrical there, the referee. And up the other end, Brentford are going to win a corner. Well, see it again. Wilson across, and then oh no, it comes off the left thigh, and if it does hit the hand, it's down by the side of Keane Lewis Potter. Definitely not a penalty. Ooh, Somerville's gone down here for West Ham and looks in pain. He's in real pain here, Crescencio Somerville. And I don't think they've any substitutes left, West Ham. They've used all 6, so either Crescencio Somerville has to suffer through this, or West Ham are going to lose a player. I think that's the options at the minute. And it's not looking too positive. Crescencio Somerville, real pain on the ground, and that is a major concern. Wonder if the magic spray can help. Usually it does. I think possibly we've gone past that point. Well, I think he's in a difficult position, Somerville, in the fact that I think the physio was actually asking him, can you play on? Because he looked up to the screen at one end of the London Stadium and kind of said, I don't know if he could do it, but I mean, the referee has to deliver the bad news that he has to hobble his way to the sideline. I mean, let him off, referee. Well, I think he might suffer through this, but the question will be whether West Ham think this is worth doing. They could really risk Crescencio Somerville into a bigger injury. But then on the other hand of things, if he does come off, they'll lose a player for the remainder of the game. And that's certainly not what you want to give. Corner will be to Brentford though. West Ham down to 10 for the moment. Somerville off to the sideline after receiving treatment. A lot of pushing and shoving as expected. I think every player on the pitch is in there. Oh, flick on by Castellanos. Almost might have found his way to his own net there. It goes behind for another corner, but delivery in by Jensen. It was Castellanos that got the header. And I'm sure some hearts were in mouths there of West Ham colours. Castellanos' header flashed across his own goal face there. Another corner it will be. And Somerville is allowed back onto the field. And is seemingly going to fight through this. Another Brentford corner. Dango Ouattara to take. Left footed, deep, back post, headed down and headed well wide by Caoimhan Ferris. Oh, Keith Andrews is intensely looking at the iPad there on the sideline. Don't know what he spotted, but very intensely. And Somerville, I mean, is hobbling around. I mean, I'd say any more contact, Somerville, or if he makes one bad jump for the ball, I don't think he could be able to play on. I think at the minute, he's kind of a passenger right there as best as he can be. Yeah, he's not able to move very much, but he does well there to play the ball off to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Breaking forward here, West Ham. Wan-Bissaka goes for the early cross. Ended away by Coyote. And Ezra Myers gets himself in a bit of bother here by Romel Donovan, but covered over well by Sungatu Mugasa. Puts it out for the throw. Just over 5 minutes of extra time to go. West Ham 2, Brentford 2. I'm sure there'll be added time on top of extra time with Crescencio Somerville's injury stoppage. That's exactly what he wants to hear. More time. Well, if it does go to penalties, I would say Crescencio Somerville definitely won't be on the first 5 list to take a penalty, but if it goes the way recent West Ham penalty shootouts have gone, nearly every player's had to take a penalty in those games. Tara's cross, comfortably caught by Alphonse Areola. And as Andy makes the point in the chat, this is another issue with extra time. The fact that, as I said, 30 minutes of pointless football, and You know, if we had just gone to penalties straight away, Crescencio Somerville might not have picked up this knock. And I mean, it's easy for me to say. It's easy to say that, but you can pick up an injury at any time. But it's the risk of the extra 30 minutes on top of what is already a jam-packed season, a relentless schedule. And players barely given enough time to rest before they're back out overexerting their bodies once again. But I mean, credit to Crescencio Somerville. He very easily could have said, you know what, I can't continue. But clearly fighting for the team to try and stay out there and compete 11 v 11. He's doing his best here. He held up the ball well there. Myers, nice little 1-2 with Souček. Nice Somerville breaking away into the box. Castellanos deflected onto the roof of the net and over. Deflection it is that takes it behind for the corner. And I have to say, Somerville keeping it alive at least, doing enough to keep West Ham on the front foot, and Castellanos' effort deflected onto the roof of the net. Keller, for the first time of the night, was a passenger in that whole situation. Had no chance with anything there. Corner it will be. 3 minutes of extra time to go, plus any added time. Bowen's delivery, left-footed, away by Collins. Myers heads it back into the mix, but cleared away again. And Caoimhan Ferris gets it further up the field. West Ham will retrieve. Areola. Wan-Bissaka. Myers. Souček. Ezra Myers. Dati Castellanos. There's some time and space in the middle. Brentford do eventually close it down, but it took them a while. They've won it back. Here's Matthias Jensen. Out to Igor Thiago. Goes for the early cross. Headed away by Disasi, and Wilson chests it down for Somerville. Back to Callum Wilson. Down the right-hand side comes Jared Bowen. Quite a few Brentford players back. Bowen couldn't find a way past Collins. We'll pick it back up though. Back across to Magassa, who rescues out a poor one. And you can feel the tiredness from the players chasing that loose ball. Fatigue seemingly becoming the big player in this, as Wan-Bissaka's cross headed behind by Collins. Corner to West Ham again. Home crowd feel their side are the ones pushing for the winner. Can they have a late twist in extra time? Jared Bowen, the one that usually is there to come up with the magic. He's going to take this corner. Last minute of the 120. Bowen, left-footed, whipped in. Vandenberg got something to that. Back post, it will be retrieved by Disasi. Now Myers, who's going to cross, a little low. Cleared away, and Brentford unable to get out here at the moment. Bowen. Magassa. Told to shoot by the crowd. Ended up trying to flick it towards the box, and it's cleared away for a by a Brentford player for a West Ham throw. Myers. First time into Magassa, back to Ezra Myers. His cross takes a little deflection. Collins clears, and Caoimhan Ferris trying to help Brentford forward, but no way through. 120 minutes up, 2 more of additional time to go before a penalty shootout will be needed. The crowd wait and anticipation inside the London Stadium. Souček. Bowen. against Jensen. Bowen breaks past his man. Couldn't get the cross in. Blocks back to Wan-Bissaka. Magassa whips across. Collins away. It's a West Ham offensive move. Disasi! Oh, that would have been one hell of a goal. Axel Disasi from long range. Space opened up and he decided to have a go. Caoimhan Ferris trying to close him down, but no one was stopping him. And oh my goodness. Just over the crossbar. Just. Always is one more big moment. "30 seconds of the 122 minutes remain. Overall, we played 143 minutes in the Wrexham-Chelsea game that went all the way to extra time. And actually know what the full accumulation of all the added times plus the 120 is in this one, but it's quite a lot. Oh, maybe one last chance for Brentford here to snatch it completely. Oh, little tap by Mavropanos, still alive. Caoimhan Ferris, bodies on the line. And that's celebrated by Disasi, who clears it away. And there is the conclusion. Penalties it will be to decide the winner. 122 minutes couldn't separate them. But it's the ultimate decider that will pick a winner. West Ham or Brentford, we'll find out in just a few minutes. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. It is a penalty shootout at the London Stadium between West Ham and Brentford after 120 minutes. Couldn't separate them after a 2-2 draw. It is, as I said, the ultimate decider to see who will be going through to play Leeds in the quarterfinals. And already, one goalkeeper in this game has played a massive part in his team staying in this fixture. Caoimhan Kelleher. Quick departure from Alphonse Areola there, as I guess has been given his research. Yeah, I would be surprised if there isn't some information that will be given on a water bottle for these players. But the team talks before the shootout. The decision of who will be taking all the penalties in what order. As I said, West Ham's last penalty shootout, they lost to Blackburn Rovers 10-9. So 19 penalties taken in that one. So nearly everybody took in that shootout. Reminder, Crescencio Somerville's a bit of a wounded soldier out there for West Ham, so I don't think he will be in the early list of players to take one. before that, we need to decide who's taken first and at what end. That's to be decided. Nathan Collins and Jared Bowen, the two captains. Referee Andy Madley, of course. We'll have our third coin toss of the game. And it's at the end, I think, of which the Brentford fans are. Now the second decide who's going first. And West Ham, I think, are going first. So the home side, I believe, are taking the first penalty. But I'm sure the headline maker usually is a goalkeeper in a shootout, obviously. Alphonse Areola or Caoimhan Kelleher. They're the two goalkeepers. And it is West Ham to take first. And it is Jared Bowen who will step up for the first penalty. He's already converted a penalty tonight, Jared Bowen. Past Caoimhan Kelleher. There's not many players that find a way past him twice in the same game. And I told you at a stat, Kelleher achieved the record for the most penalty shootout saves and penalty shootout wins in Liverpool's club history. 6 penalty shootout saves and 4 penalty shootout wins as Liverpool goalkeeper. Brentford have already been in a shootout this season. Can he be big against Jared Bowen as the shootout gets underway? Bowen against Kelleher for the second time tonight from a penalty. Bowen fires it home. Kelleher went the right way, but the height behind it from Bowen's shot is what forced it past the Irishman. And West Ham have first blood in the shootout. Yeah, lovely. Jared Bowen goes for the no-look there. It's a risky one to take, but, well, it would only be the right thing to do. One penalty taker in the 90 minutes. Takes the first penalty for his team in the shootout. Brentford will do the same. Igor Thiago, whose penalty kept Brentford in this tie late in the second half. He will take Brentford's first in the shootout. Up against Areola. Can he find a way to stop Thiago? Something he couldn't do in the 90 minutes. Igor Thiago slots it past Areola, who dived the wrong way, as he did in 90 minutes. And Thiago slots it in and screams of Vamos as he celebrates to his fans, which are behind that goal. Nice penalty, but all a mind game, that one. Right. Well, Nuno has been kind of nervous figure all night. Tati Castellanos is up next. Up against Kelleher. Castellanos steps up and fires it beautifully right down the middle. Kelleher dived away, but the sheer power on that one, even if Kelleher had stood there, it would have been difficult to stop. Right into the roof of the net from Tati Castellanos. Beautiful. He can't bear to look, Nuno. I mean, he can't. He can't watch. Now, back to Brentford. Dango Ouattara. West Ham lead 2-1 after they've taken 2 penalties. Brentford with their second. Can they tie it up again? That's all they've been doing all night, is tying it up when West Ham have taken the lead. And the shootout reflecting a similar vein. Dango Ouattara up against Alphonse Areola to tie it up in the shootout. A little bit of jumping from Areola before the penalty. Dango Ouattara right down the middle and saved by Areola, who did not move. Tried the Panenka and failed miserably. Dango Ouattara. I mean, try that at your own peril. Why on earth would you do that in a shootout? That is just stupid. Just stupid. I mean, Areola literally does not have to move. That is horrendous. Horrendous from Dango Ouattara. And I'm sure Keith Andrews will be furious. And rightfully so. Callum Wilson to step up for West Ham's third to give them a 2-goal lead in the shootout. And really put the pressure on Brentford. Callum Wilson against Caoimhan Kelleher. Wilson. Oh! Kelleher dived the right way again, but the height behind those penalties from West Ham. That's another wonderfully taken penalty. 3-1. See it here. Yay, that's a beautiful penalty. Similar to Castellanos' one, but this time it's in the corner. Gorgeous penalty. 3-1 to West Ham. And we're now, albeit not in must-score territory, but right now it's certainly not must, not miss for Keane Lewis Potter. Because then it really opens the door for West Ham. Brentford to try and keep themselves alive in this shootout. They've been fighting all night to keep themselves in this tie. They're running out of time and opportunities. Keane Lewis Potter against Areola. Tucks it in. Areola dived the right way that time, but the accuracy from Keane Lewis Potter right into the corner. And that keeps Brentford within one after 3 penalties apiece. But as long as West Ham keeps scoring, they're the team with the advantage after Brentford missed their second. Thomas Souček to be the next one for West Ham. Score, and then they really make Brentford need to be must score. Thomas Souček up against Kelleher. He's dived the right way all occasions tonight. Oh, beautiful from Souček. 4-2 West Ham. And all 4 penalties. I mean, if there's one way to stop Caoimhan Kelleher saving them, it's to make them unbelievable penalties. To make them unsavable. And again, that's another unsavable penalty. 4-2. West Ham are on the verge. Must score for Brentford. Miss. And they're out. Score, and they do keep it alive at least for one more possible penalty. Mathias Jensen. Miss, and they're out. Score, and they at least keep it alive till West Ham take their 5th. Alphonse Areola trying to stop Mathias Jensen. Send West Ham through to the quarterfinals of the Cup. Mathias Jensen, right down the middle. Fired that one in. 4-3. And now, it's on West Ham's shoulders. Score and you're through. Simple as that. Beautifully taken penalty by Mathias Jensen. As right down the middle as you could get it, that. And it is Konstantinos Mavropanos that will take West Ham's 5th penalty, and they're hoping their final penalty before they hopefully are in the last 8 for them. Caoimhan Kelleher to try and stop them to keep Brentford alive. Mavropanos finds the top corner. That's the pick of the bunch. And West Ham, 5 out of 5 in the shootout, are into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. For the first time in 10 years, West Ham are into the last 8. Brentford are out again at the 5th round. And they made it difficult for themselves all the night, West Ham. But after the shootout, like has been the case a lot recently for them, it's now 4 of the last 5 shootouts they've won, West Ham. And for Brentford, well, it is fall again in the 5th round. They fought ever hard to keep themselves in it, and for a lot of the time, they probably shouldn't have been in this tie. But ultimately, I have to say, all 5 West Ham penalties were incredibly taken, and even if Caoimhan Kelleher was double his height, he would not have got anywhere near them. Incredible penalties. That's one way to stop one of the best goalkeepers in shootouts, is to make them unsavable, and West Ham certainly did that. Nuno couldn't bear to watch, but he certainly celebrated when they did win. And he has really turned this club into a club with optimism. A chance of staying in the Premier League. Just goal difference separates them from exiting the drop zone. And now into the last 8 of the FA Cup. Jared Bowen with 2. Igor Thiago with 2. Neither could be separated after 120 minutes. But the ultimate decider in penalties is what sees West Ham through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And let's ultimately confirm all the results. Wolves 1, Liverpool 3, Mansfield 1, Arsenal 2, Wrexham 2, Chelsea 4 after extra time, Newcastle 1, Man City 3, Fulham 0, Southampton 1, Port Vale 1, Sunderland 0, Leeds United 3, Norwich 0, and on the night, West Ham 2, Brentford 2, West Ham win on penalties. A reminder of the quarter-final draw: Southampton will host Arsenal, Port Vale have a trip to Chelsea, Man City host Liverpool, and West Ham will have a home tie against Leeds United. That's all to come in 4 weeks' time. The FA Cup quarter-finals. Before that, the Champions League round of 16 gets underway tomorrow night. 2 games tomorrow. 5:45 is Liverpool's trip to Galatasaray for the second time this season, and Barcelona's second trip to Newcastle this time. For the second time this season. They are tomorrow's games in the Champions League. But that's it for us tonight. A ultimately pretty enjoyable FA Cup tie to conclude round 5 and to lock in the final team in the quarterfinals. West Ham on penalties knock out Brentford. Good night.